Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today has been a great day. I'm recovering from the recent marathon that I completed, and I just wanted to say that for a first timer, it was a lot of fun for me. There are a lot of presenters who have varying opinions, but for me, I believe 47, and basically I have trouble remembering names, dates, and numbers, and that's possibly because I was dropped on my head as a child. And I don't say that just to say it. I mean, it really was something that happened, and it was an intentional act that caused me great trauma that I've been healing from probably ever since. And until recently, I didn't have the character, the composure, or the, what's a good word? Basically the ability to continue to follow through, mostly because, I'm not really in control of everything from start to finish. And so in most cases, my daily tasks revolved around carrying out actions on behalf of some other trigger, and that's basically how a person with trauma will persist. It's like, let's try to take the path of least trauma, least future trauma, by making decisions to influence the phenomenon around us. And so for me, the way my marathon went was so miraculous. Like today, it's basically 80 degrees outside already with full sun, not a cloud in the sky. And at 2 o'clock here where I'm at, in the same city of the San Antonio Rock and Roll Marathon, yesterday, I believe the highs were something around 60, and it was overcast for all of the day. And so my first marathon experience was glorious because it wasn't the typical hot Texas experience that one would have expected. So I was particularly thankful for the weather turning out to be very pleasant. I was tentatively grateful to the fact that I was able to try out several pairs of running shoes and to find an appropriate pair that alleviated the pain that I was just continuing to have at that time. I believe it feels almost like the pain was just immediately lifted when I completed this run yesterday. And it was the only trauma that I experienced was basically a little bit of muscle soreness. And that's to be expected. So that's it's an event that it requires great endurance and stamina. And the two things basically allow you to either continue moving forward or you'll find that you run out of faith that you're going to get there. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the things I've said on here have generated some conversations, clearly some conversations that need to have been had. And because of this, there are probably an infinite number of people who are watching this who are kind of concerned that it sounds like, maybe I'm still coming from a place of forlorn or sadness, maybe even from a position of struggle. And in some ways, that's how I feel coming up on this holiday season, which we are already well into, by the way. And there is a great sense of sadness because a lot of the things I ran through were green belts, and some of them were part of the same trail. I didn't know, but they're part of the same trail system that I've been running. And so for those stretches where we passed through the waterways, you could clearly smell the sewage. You could, see all of the debris This was old debris too. All the debris already in the water systems, in the drainage areas that had water flowing through them. You could see a lot of the signs that maybe we couldn't care less about the damage and destruction that we're leaving around us. So much so that, again, there's people on platforms like this who will just comment because of their thoughts, that they're anonymous, even though they're not. But they won't really understand that they're also, as above, so below, creating the destruction and the destructive acts that we continue to overlook. And it's not until we start looking for the bright things, that we continue to see hope. Like today, I was able to go to a local shipping place to pick up a printout. And the printout was because I got some random last second tax thing that someone else needs. And they reached out, but they reached out in a way that made me have to reach out to an accountant. And the accountant basically is also someone who maybe needed to have a conversation with me or somebody. But the point is that as I'm saying these things, I'm recognizing just how all tied together we are and how we're supposed to, be able to help one another. And that's basically something that I got to see. Also, in addition to the litter on the trails, also I got to see all the helpful people who were out there who were really wanting us to all succeed at what we had embarked upon. So a lot of positive energy came from that. And on here, there are comments that aren't so positive, and sometimes they're even attempting to be damaging. And so I chose to really limit what I see and don't see. And if I have a clue as to what it is, then, and it's generally a negative piece of insight, then I basically don't necessarily need to see it. We can see the negative immediately by recognizing positive. And when we recognize positive, we don't really want to spend a whole lot of time interacting with the negative. So for that reason, I wanted to pre-upload some of these things and to say, I had a great experience. I've become healthier and healthier, and I feel some counterparts in my family starting to struggle more and more. And I recognize that, health is wealth, and some of us maybe don't want to move in that direction with a whole lot of effort. We just kind of want to keep doing the things that we do to support what might not be the healthiest way to accomplish things. So hopefully with the change of venue, or I guess the vendor, hopefully with the change of vendor, although I thought this vendor was okay, they had enough medals to pass out to everyone, and they engraved them. But this vendor kind of left the longer, the slower runners in the dust, so to speak, because, like, for an example, I passed by about 4 areas where there were orange wedges, where there were orange rinds all over the ground, just like the paper cups whenever they give out, the drinks, and all of those things I participated in. And so basically, I know that, again, I'm contributing to these things, and at the same time, they're contributing to me. And so that's how we view things. And if we can see simultaneously the acceptance, it doesn't necessarily mean we need to pay attention to it all of the time, but the acceptance of the other, that's the thing that's paramount in sharing energy. And so for that reason, I wanted to also pre-upload most of everything for this year in a very short amount of time. And in so doing, I also began to have videos for next year uploaded. So I'm gonna probably tune out for however long these videos are already pre-uploaded by the end of maybe even this week. And I'm gonna take a break, and so don't be offended if I don't answer your questions. I'm just not reachable unless you're wanting to really discuss some of these topics in real time, in real places. But otherwise, some of these things that happen in our virtual realities are sometimes careless in many regards, because we have generally overseen and overlooked the things that we should be regarding, like all of the litter that came from this event, and the fact that we don't need to participate in it on these scales just for fun. Maybe we should be able to accomplish these things just because it might be necessary in the future, in the event of a national disaster. Just a thought. Until then, whenever those times might be, I'm going to focus on allocating all of my time and energy towards myself without any further negative impact from errant negative swings from, what would we call it? Parasites. But even the parasites have their place. So thanks for driving us along. Haters make us greater. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.